English, you know, the way we break English sometimes, once in a while. The gentleman, instead of answering to what the lady is saying, he stops there and says, no, you don't say like this, you say
like this.
So it kept on until the lady was so frustrated because she could not be able to communicate. And you know, language is about communication. Yeah, language is about communication. So perfectionism will lead to stagnation.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. How are you?
I'm very fine.
Karibu back.
Asante.
Because hatujakutana mwaka huu. Tulionana mwaka jana. Tulionana kitambo sana.
It has been a year.
It has been a year. So karibu sana. We are talking about perfectionism. Nataka uniambie your own experiences. What are your own experiences in this perfectionism?
You know, being a perfectionist, I don't know whether I know one.
You are one.
I know one of them, but I don't know whether I am. But maybe you'll tell me because you cannot. This thing is not good from me. I can say.
Okay.
It is good to a personal level, but to others it's not good. When you try to make everything 100%, when someone does it, you feel like no. It is not supposed to be.
If for instance, it is a boss and you are probably an employee, and your boss is a perfectionist, and then you are there as an employee, sometimes you feel like you may not be able to attain the standards that they have set. Actually, the word perfectionism comes from the word perfect. It comes from the word perfect.
That is comes up from the word perfect. Holding you to msikilizaji, it is perfectionism and career development. Nambari ya SMS 0111992525. Answer us. Yes, Madam Joyce.
I was saying that perfectionism comes from the word perfect. And it actually comes from the word perfect. That is, you desire to be perfect. And all of us desire to be perfect at one time or another. Actually, all of us want to be perfect or to do things in an excellent way. But then when it goes beyond or overboard, that is when it becomes negative. Otherwise, wanting to become perfect is not a bad thing. And wanting to become perfect means that you desire for excellence or you desire to do well. You desire to do well. Perfectionism can make you get the A grades even in class. Perfectionism can make you be able to perform, to push yourself to be able to perform the best. And some of the people that really excel are actually perfectionists. They are actually perfectionists. So if you want to look at what perfectionism is, it is setting very high standards that probably sometimes may not be attainable. It is a trait that makes an individual work towards flawlessness. You are flawless. You don't have anything that people can be able to be able to criticize or to be able to say, here you did not do it well. But it comes from within. So it is not what people say. It is what you say. Even when people say you've done well, you as a perfectionist, you feel, no, I've not done well. I've not done enough. I should have done more. I should have pushed more. A perfectionist, even when they get 95% in an exam, they say, ile 5 ingine ningekuwa hata mimi nimeipata, you know, I should have gotten 100%. Even when they get 100%, they'll start saying, I should have answered this question like this. I should have answered this one like this. So it is, it becomes obsessive. It becomes obsessive, and someone becomes obsessive about making mistakes. They become obsessive. They don't want to make mistakes, or when they make mistake, they condemn themselves. They really don't appreciate themselves. Obsession about winning a game. That is perfectionism. Obsession. You are obsessed. You must win this game. And some of these perfectionists are the ones when there is a game and they are supporting a certain team and the team fails. Some of them even commit suicide. You've heard of people committing suicide because of a game. Obsessing about letting others down. So you find that if a perfectionist is an employee, he will obsess about letting down the boss. So he will do anything to be able to please the boss. Now, when he is not able to meet the standard, he also gives up. He also gives up. And then he refuses to try, or he doesn't try. Obsessing about making everything right and holding yourself, to very high standards that sometimes are not achievable. So now it becomes a problem. Now it becomes a problem. You are not able to move on because of the standards that you have set. And there are two types of perfectionism. There is the positive perfectionism, which is adaptive, and the negative perfectionism, which is maladaptive. Now, maladaptive now becomes a mental health problem. It becomes a mental health problem because it is related to burnout, it is related to depression, anxiety, and therefore the person has very low motivation, because when they feel they are not going to attain the standards that are supposed to be attained, then they find that they cannot be able to move on. So yes, perfectionism, if it is positive, it helps you to perform well. But if it is negative and it becomes an obsession, then it brings so many other challenges. Actually, most of the people that get depressed, they are people that are perfectionists.
Wow.
They are people that are perfectionists. So when they are not able to attain the standards, they feel low motivation and they feel demotivated because they are not able to achieve the standards that they have set for themselves or have been set for them. They feel they are not good enough. They feel, they cannot even celebrate any little achievements. They're not able to celebrate. And they ask themselves, why try to achieve if I cannot be able to achieve that standard? So it goes now into depression, or it goes into low motivation, and therefore the person is not able to work as expected. So perfectionism affects your relationship either with your colleagues or with your boss or even your relationships. Even your relationships. Perfectionism affects your relationships. Exactly. It affects your relationships. I was seeing a little clip in this program of Njoro Auba. I'm not advertising him, but I like watching some of those clips sometimes. And I saw a relationship, a relationship was breaking. The gentleman kept on correcting the lady. When the lady is speaking English Kiswahili, na anavunja Kiswahili, anavunja English, the way we break English sometimes, once in a while. The gentleman, instead of answering to what the lady is saying, he stops there and says, no, you don't say like this, you say
like this.
So it kept on until the lady was so frustrated because she could not be able to communicate. And language is about communication. Yeah, language is about communication. So perfectionism will lead to stagnation. Perfectionism will lead to stagnation because now you cannot be able to move on. You're not able to move on because of the mistakes that you're making. You feel you cannot be able to achieve. Now, the perfectionism also leads to toxic comparison. Toxic comparison, and therefore the person avoids challenges. They are not able to. It also leads to low self-esteem, demotivation, anxiety, and so on. And anyway, all those things that I'm mentioning, if you are working and you are in this state, you are avoiding challenges, you are having toxic comparison, you are demotivated, you are depressed, you are anxious, and sometimes even suicidal. Will you be able to work? You cannot be able to work.
The question is, the answer is no.
Yeah, the answer is no. You cannot be able to work. You cannot be able to work and you cannot be productive because of that perfectionism. But is perfectionism good? To some extent, yes. But when it crosses the borders,
it is bad.
Then it is bad.
Someone may ask Madam Mghoi, because these are the people we live with in the society. How can we deal with them? Because, okay, let me take an example. For instance, my camera lady is just an example. Maybe she's a perfectionist. And I understand. How am I going to deal with her? Can her change? Because, okay, ni perfectionist. Nikifanya hivi ansema no.
Now, from outside, it may be very difficult for you to change someone from outside if they themselves are not aware that they have that that weakness of being perfectionists. They must be aware themselves. When they are aware themselves and they identify this is a disadvantage or this one is making me not to be able to work even with others properly, then they can be able to change. Otherwise, someone who is a perfectionist and is not aware that he is a perfectionist, actually is not aware that he has maladaptive perfectionism, because we have said there is adaptive perfectionism and maladaptive perfectionism. If the person is not aware he has maladaptive perfectionism, it may be very difficult to change them, because for them, they know, they believe that what they are saying and what they want to do is the right thing and it has to be done. They have no way of thinking in their mind that man is to error, one, you know, and human beings make mistakes, two, and human beings are not perfect, three, you know, they are not able to realize that in their brains. So it can be very difficult for someone from outside to change someone who has maladaptive perfectionism if they themselves are not aware that they have that kind of weaknesses. But there are ways to deal with it.
This is just the start, msikilizaji, ndo kwanza tunaanza. Are you a teacher? Are you a perfectionist? Wanafunzi wanasema nini kuhusu wewe? Kuna pastor pia ni perfectionist. So wewe yeye akienda hivi naye lazima uende hivi. So this is just the start. Asema, good morning Madam Joyce Mghoi. I'm dating a perfectionist. Nikiosha nguo anarudia kuiosha.
Leave alone that. Una style lazima uhang.
That is just the start, msikilizaji. We are coming up 011-992525 is SMS line. Tembea kwenye mtandao wa kijamii Chuka Universe Radio, pale Twitter na Instagram, msikilizaji, tutakuwa tunazungumzana. But in the meantime, touch of grace is your real deal. Still the body. Madam Joyce Mghoi, career ambassador. Can I say ambassador? Yeah, Madam Joyce Mghoi yupo ndani ya mjengo, msikilizaji. Tunaongelea mambo na perfectionism and career development. Madam Joyce ameongea mambo na obsession, na wewe kama ni employee uko kule na boss ni perfectionist. How do you deal with that? But the same pine za cause anxiety, depression, mambo kama hiyo. But then Madam Joyce Mghoi, dealing with perfectionism. Tumekwambia ati nikiosha nguo anataka pia airudie kuosha.
Anataka uanike in a certain style. Ukianika style nyingine anaona haitakauka vizuri lazima. We have such kind of people and it can really affect their lives. They need to go slow. They need to relax a little bit. But as I've said, people need to realize themselves that they are perfectionists. In that way, they can be able to deal with it better than if it is someone who is observing from outside. So for that particular lady who has a partner that is a perfectionist, they need to be compassionate with them, because one of the ways to deal with perfectionism is being compassionate with yourself. If you are a perfectionist, be compassionate with yourself. Compassionate with yourself is being able to tell yourself that even if I did not achieve or I did not get what I desired to get, it is still okay. I'm still good enough and I can still, achieve next time, and it should not really bother you. So this particular lady needs to be compassionate with the partner, needs to show compassion with the partner, and need to continue to talk with them. Not really quarrel, but really explain to them that even if we did it this way, it will still have the same results. If you did it this way, it will still have the same results. So continue to talk to them. One of the ways of dealing with perfectionism is being compassionate with yourself and being compassionate with those that are perfectionists. Because unajua si kupenda kwao, they are like that. Some of them have not realized they're like that, and some of them probably have realized. Those that have realized are working on it. Those that have realized are working on it. And one thing they need to do is to be compassionate about themselves and to have self-talk. Self-talk is that one of talking to yourself. Sitting down and telling yourself, now, Joyce, we need to have a talk. There is this that has been crossing your mind. There is this that you have been doing. Can't you see that you have done enough? Can't you see that it is good enough? Even so-and-so said you did a good job. So-and-so said you did a good job. Why are you beating yourself up? So you do self-talk. You be compassionate about yourself. You be compassionate about those people that are that are perfectionists. Then another thing is practicing self-talk. Practicing self-talk, practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness. When you are mindful of yourself and you are mindful of other people, then you'll be able to deal with this perfectionism. Being mindful of other people. Being mindful of other people is like when a boss sees that there is some work that has not been done well. That boss should be mindful of the employees and try to think, why have they not done it the way I desired it to be done? Maybe they didn't see it the way you saw it. Maybe they have not been able. Maybe there is one there that probably is sick or probably is not feeling well or probably, has other, challenges that employees sometimes have. Sometimes we have even people that are pregnant. They may not be able to reach at work at 8 on the dot the way everybody else is reaching at at work at that particular time. People have different challenges. So being mindful. Practicing mindfulness, mindfulness of yourself if you're a perfectionist, mindful of other people. Not comparing is another thing that you can be able to do. All of us are unique in our own ways, and God did not create all of us the same. So if you compare yourself with other people, you become obsessive, wanting to reach where they have reached or wanting to be the way they are. And it is not possible. So not comparing yourself is another way of dealing with perfectionism. When you don't compare yourself with other people, you are good to go. You're good enough. You're good enough. But when you start comparing yourself with other people, then you start seeing as if you are short of something and it starts bothering you. Talking it out and sharing it out. Like now, when we have shared a little bit of air that, perfectionism. Some of us had to talk ourselves out of it because there is a way, even when I was in secondary school, and if I kept my book here, I want to find it there. If I kept my file here, I want to find it there. If I give you my book and it comes back with a mark, it is already bothering me and troubling me. So those are some of the things. Talking it out, sharing it out, even talking to yourself, realization that man is to error. That is, man is to error. We are not condoning mistakes. We are not condoning errors. But we are saying man is to error. When they make errors, when they make mistakes sometimes, please cut them some slack.
Don't beat them.
Cut them some slack. Cut yourself some slack when you make mistakes. Cut yourself some slack. This is what leads to depression. When you are feeling like things should have worked this way, they must have worked this way, and they should work this way. It actually may lead to depression. So cut yourself some slack. Yes.
Maybe we can answer this one before we continue to another one. One way of dealing with a perfectionist.
Yes.
Anasema, my husband.
Yes.
Anafanya kazi zote yeye peke yake.
Okay.
Si ati hataki kumwambia. Anaona nikimwambia hawezi fanya vile nataka. Okay. So the only way to save my marriage, let me do it on my own. Because if I allow her to do it, nitakasirika. Na nikikasirika, hii kitu haitafanyika. This relationship will not continue.
Are you realizing that person is going to have a burnout?
Now that's
what we said in the beginning. It leads to burnout. Because now you are a perfectionist, you don't want anybody else to do it. It is you who is doing everything. Finally, it is going to lead to what? Burnout. And that's why that lady probably needs to be encouraged to be compassionate with the husband and to start talking to him that I can still do what you are doing. I can still, do the way you are doing it. It is still okay. I can do it differently. The results will be the same. Because I think that is what is happening there in that particular relationship that you're talking about. So the lady has decided to fold her hands and let the husband do.
Akifanya, amwambia mama nitafanya. Now, any risk to career development to perfectionist, especially, okay, let me take an example of a teacher.
Yes.
This is a teacher, hata walimu wengine staff room, unamjua. Like akienda asubuhi, saa 7 atarudi huko, saa 10 atarudi huko. Kila mtu apata 100%. Any risky of perfectionism to career development?
Yes, there is a risk because if it leads to stagnation, if it leads to low self-esteem, if it leads to, not now being able to attempt because you are seeing you cannot be able to achieve, if it leads to depression, that's already risk to career development. It can lead to career hindrances to career development. So all these things, they can actually lead to hindrances to career development. Because a perfectionist, one of the things that they need to do is to prioritize. Because again, when they don't prioritize, they also get burnout because of doing everything else at the same time and trying to do it perfectly well. And then setting deadlines is another thing of dealing with perfectionism. You set deadlines. So again, you can see, if you're not working with deadlines, if you are working with deadlines, all of them the same time, the same day, because you want to achieve everything at the same time, again, that one hinders career development. Number one, you'll not be able to achieve. You will not be able to achieve. So those are some of the things.
Wow, Mwalimu, don't beat up so much for yourself. Kila mtu hawezi
yeah,
100%.
Don't cut yourself some slack. Don't beat yourself almost every time because you have not been able to achieve the high standards that you have set.
Wow.
Yes.
Right.
Work towards excellence, but don't beat yourself.
Wow.
Yes.
What causes perfection?
What causes perfection sometimes can be internal pressure, internal pressure, and the desire to avoid failure. It can cause perfectionism. Harsh judgment can cause perfectionism. If when you are growing,
you're just judging yourself.
Yes, harsh judgment, even from other people. It can also cause perfectionism. Socialization is another thing. Socialization. If you're socialized in the home about cleanliness, about many, when children are growing, they go through different stages. There is the stage of toilet training. Let me use that stage now. The stage of toilet training. When the child is at that stage of toilet training, sometimes they soil themselves. Sometimes they poo-poo on themselves. Sometimes they urinate on themselves and so on. If there is very harsh, crazy punishment during this particular stage, this child may actually have these internal pressures to perfectionism.
Wow.
Watching out they don't soil themselves, watching out they don't leave the room dirty, watching out they don't leave, they are so compulsive and obsessive about some certain types of things and achievement, to achieve something. We've seen even sometimes last week I was seeing a clip of a toddler. I think that child was maybe hardly three years, and the person who was training that child to write was really beating this child, totally, really beating. Yani kuchapwa ile kuchapwa ile kabisa. So this child may grow with that internal mechanism of perfectionism. I can never make a mistake. I can never make a mistake, because a mistake will lead to this kind of punishment, harsh judgment, punishment, serious punishment. So this child may grow up now with those internal mechanisms to become perfect. So those are some of the causes, but then they have triggers. They have triggers like social media images. Those are triggers to perfectionism. When you look at social media, people don't post what is bad. They always post what is good. Exactly. So if you are someone who compares yourself with other people, you may start looking for perfectionism there. Then there are other triggers like body image. How do you look at yourself? When you look at yourself in the mirror, what do you see? When you look at yourself in the mirror. And all these things, Chacha, they affect career development. Even when you're going to work, how do you see yourself? What is your image? Are you crouching? Are you encroaching the office like you want to disappear? Or are you walking like, here I come, I can perform, I can achieve? I can achieve, I can perform. The body image, it can be a trigger to perfectionism. Grades, the grades that you get can be a trigger to perfectionism. It can be a trigger. The grades that you get can be a trigger to perfectionism. Relationship partner, the two comments there, it's about relationship, it's about a partner. There is a partner who expects things that probably you as a person may not be able to achieve. So if that goes on for a long time, you also become a perfectionist. You also become you change. Hata watu wanasema haya, huyu alibadilika lini? Si huyu alikuwa, because of a partner. The partner has triggered perfectionism in you. Social pressures. What are the social pressures? What does the society demand? Like now, Chacha, if I use an example of schools and academic grades and the A, there are schools that basically nothing is being done other than reading.
Exactly.
Reading.
It's the habit.
The schools, there's so much that they're doing to get the A grade. So they are not even growing all round. They're not going for sports. They're not going for games. They're not going for PE. They're eating within 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Swallow the githeri very quickly and go back to class. Kula kama mwanajeshi. Social pressures can also trigger perfectionism. Family expectations can trigger perfectionism. There are families for doctors. Unaambiwa tu wewe lazima ukue nani? Daktari. Lazima ukue daktari.
Wote wako na PhD. You must do it.
Yes, that is true. Athletics goals, those ones, some of them that are, they actually trigger perfectionism. That you must perform. You must be able to achieve a certain standard.
Wow. That is Madam Joyce msikilizaji just asking, are you a perfectionist? Ansema, hello CJ, show iko juu sana jamani, I'm just enjoying this. Kumbe I am the one. Hey.
Mwambie there is hope.
Now,
there is hope, yes.
There's right at the end of every dark tunnel.
Yes.
Now, Madam Joyce, just like this person, how now, okay, kuna watu wanatusikiliza na hawajui kama wao ni perfectionist. Science, ninaweza nikajua aje, because by any chance, in one way or the other, kuna mtu ni perfectionist na hajui.
Na hajui kama yeye ni perfectionist.
How can I tell that I'm a perfectionist? How can other people tell that this particular person is a perfectionist?
One of them is over-criticizing. Over. You know, there is the criticism, the normal criticism.
Hakuna kitu kizuri wewe.
Overly criticize. Yani kitu umeongea, ukaongea tena, unarudia, unashinda ukirudia hapo. You know, hata yesterday you didn't do well. You know, and yet you said, even that yesterday you said, this thing should have been done this way and that way. So overly criticizes, people that overly criticize, they are perfectionists. Setting unrealistic goals and expectations, they are perfectionists. Just like we have given a simple example of someone washing clothes and they want their clothes to be hung in a particular way, you know. We also have setting unrealistic goals. A student has gotten a C and you're telling them next time you want them to get an A. How will they be able to jump from a C to an A? Setting unrealistic goals. You know, shrugging off compliments. Those people that shrug off compliments, some of them are perfectionists. Why are they shrugging off the compliments? Because they don't think they have achieved what you're telling them they have achieved. They don't think they are as good as you are telling them that they are good. So they shrug off compliments. There are those people that also forget to celebrate good things that have happened in their lives, successes that have happened in their lives. They just don't celebrate. Quietly, unaona mtu ana graduate ako peke yake, quietly amegraduate, you know, hata ajambia mtu. They shrug off, they forget to celebrate. They don't see it as a mark of achievement and that needs to be celebrated. Because probably as they are graduating quietly, they are telling themselves, you know, hata ningepata first class honors, lakini niko na second upper. So they are not even seeing that as an achievement. They have a second upper, but they are not seeing it as an achievement. So they push off that kind of a celebration. They don't even attend the graduation. So forgetting to celebrate their successes is also a sign that someone is a perfectionist. Then looking to specific people to validate you. You look for people to validate you. When you do something, you cannot validate it yourself and say, I think I've done a great job here. You have to look for someone to come and say that you have done a good job. Otherwise, in yourself, you cannot be able to say that you have done a good job. So it's very important for people to look out for those, especially if it is obsessive, especially if it is so serious. And they need to know that we have self-oriented perfectionism. It comes from you. We have other-oriented, you know. Other-oriented is when other people, they are the ones that are pushing you. Like now, the example that we are giving of a boss is a perfectionist and you are an employee. You know, now when you are an employee, you are likely now to start, becoming perfectionist because your boss is a perfectionist.
You are pushed
so other-oriented is oriented from other people. Then we also have social-oriented. Social-oriented is now community, is now society. When you hear people say, Kenyans don't do this. You know, the pride of the Kenyan. Kenyans don't do this. In this community, we don't do this. In this university, we don't do this. In this school, we don't do this. That is now social-oriented, coming from a certain setup.
Wow.
Yes.
Msikilizaji, hopefully you are grasping something. Bila shaka you are getting something. Anasema, hello CJ, good morning jamani, show iko juu sana. I'm enjoying it and the topic is so amazing. Naifurahia. Hello Madam Joyce Mghoi, hii kitu ingie YouTube sahi.
Tunaenda kuiweka sahi.
Inaingia sahi.
Tunaenda kuiweka sahi.
Usicheze mbali. Msikilizaji, iko kule Touch of Grace KE.
So, Touch of Grace KE, they can come there, they can watch it there.
Before we conclude, we have just 2 minutes kumaliza. Mtihani shari release, that's from 4 KCC, and we are still waiting for ones to join and others to apply various campuses. One word to perfectionist. Students when walifanya mtihani.
Actually, we even have perfectionist parents who have never accepted their children's results because they feel that they alipata B+ na wanamwambia mbona ukupata A, wewe ni wa A, wewe. They are not even talking to that child. Then there is a perfectionist who got an A- and they are crying because they did not get an A+. So let them relax and know London is not on fire. London is not on fire. Whatever they got is good enough, and they can still become successful with that particular grade that they have gotten. I've been seeing something in the social media, a lady that had 180 marks in primary school. Now she is even a landlord. She's a successful person. So let them not look down upon themselves. Whatever grades that they got, they are good enough. Let us check out what they can be able to do and the courses they can be able to pick. All the best to them.
Saying Anita asking on competition and perfectionism. Alisema alienda job, yeye ni perfectionist. Sasa hiyo ni mzima, kazi ni kutuangwa tu. Now competition and unnecessary competition. Is there any chance that a perfectionist can bring unnecessary competition to an organization?
Definitely, because of the comparison part. We said a perfectionist compares themselves with other people and they want to achieve like other people. So definitely they will bring competition in the workplace. These are the people ukivaa nguo imefanana na wao hawatawaiva. Hawatawaiva. I've never heard of such people.
Exactly.
Yes, ukivaa nguo imefanana na yao hawatawai waona wameiva. In fact watakasirika sana wakikuona umeapia na nguo inafanana na hiyo yao.
Na nikinunua gari inafanana yake ataachana na ile.
They will sell it and buy another one. I mean, basically, competition and comparison, excessive, maladaptive, that is perfectionism. And it affects someone's productivity, it affects someone's life, and it leads to other negative effects.
Wow. You're getting that, msikilizaji. It has been a discussion. Madam Joyce Mghoi, thank you very much for making time with us.
Thank you too. Have a good day.
Wakupate wapi?
Touch of Grace KE. Touch of Grace KE.
Across the social media platforms?
Across the social media platforms.